Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Lord of the Rings Minecraft mod adventure. I am LeftClick, and we're going to head back down to Fairfell. We are going to go down to our little Gondorian village, turn in all those quests we have, and we are going to be so incredibly rich. And hopefully we'll find a Gondorian fortress along the way, and so if we do, we're going to hire some units and head into Udun, the valley at the Black Gate of Mordor, and we're going to storm it directly, just like Aragorn did in the days of old. Hello. Thank you. Okay, our Gondor alignment is 110.4. That's pretty good, considering. Alright, what do you got? Thank you. What do you got? Slate 13 spawn of Mordor. Can do. You have a quest? Spawn of Isengard. Interesting. I could do that. Okay, you have a quest for me. Thank you. There should be one more guy with a quest. I think. Don't know where he is, though. Is he over here? No, there was some guy that wanted me to collect Gondorian brick. And I could do that very, very quickly. Oh, maybe he's inside, that's why. Well, let's get rid of this. There's some soldiers. Nice. Spawn of Mordor. I absolutely can do that. What are you? You're a Dorwinian merchant. Dorwinian elf merchant. You're buying silver goblets and bronze ingots. And you're selling all kinds of stuff. Red wine and Dorwinian boots. I really like Dorwinian elf armor. But honestly, I like the Dorwinian elf and Dorwinian human armor. Both just look so nice. Okay, I think I need 43 Gondorian brick. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Is the Gondor brick from... Hold on, the Gondor brick is probably from someone up here. Aryan. No, that's Othrondir. What does Othrondir want with me? Oh, he just wanted me to slay spawn of Mordor. Okay, so in that case, then the Gondorian brick is this guy. And it was 43, right? I didn't misread that. 43, cool. Alright, so we'll just tunnel up these walls, get to the top. I wonder what the top block is. It might be Numenorian stuff. That'd be fun. Going to the top of the wall. Just like in Game of Thrones. I don't really know that much about Game of Thrones. Again, I'm really a Tolkien person. I didn't really get into that much fantasy. Although I do like Dungeons and Dragons. Some of the official lore there is pretty cool. Although I never got into any of the plot lines. I really just used it as a medium for my own writing. It is Numenorian brick. That's what I thought. Let's see what the top of the wall looks like. Oh, wow! It has... Is it hollow? It's not. Wow, this is a solid-ass wall. Alrighty, well. Buy my bark. Well, in that case, I'm going to let this be for now. I'm going to head back down. Gonna, make sure that all that stuff is, put away safely. Alright, let's get this Numenorian brick. I believe there's one more brick I need to do right there. Right there. Okay, cool. Alright, and then I'll just tunnel my way down. Should be plenty of brick for me. Okay, that's 49 brick. I think if I use some to slurp my way down, I don't have to take any fall damage. Excellent. Let's make ourselves a new stone pickaxe and then we'll be on our way. I don't have any cobblestone on me. That's bad. I kind of need that. I'm gonna have to get a... I must have used all my cobblestone earlier for making things. That sucks. Gonna have to go down underground and get some cobblestone soon. Oh well. Maybe there's some on the ground. It's probably some boulders that I can mine, right? Spawn of Isengard. I know. Okay, maybe the person I need to contact is above me in the top of the inn. That's probably what the deal is. Okay. Yeah, okay, you needed the rock. Cool. Look at the Gondorian in. Oh, accept. Wow. I have all sorts of stuff over here. Cool. I like the look of the inn. It's really cool. Hello. I'm going to go through here. And let's try and find a Gondorian fortress so we can buy some stuff. And there's a stable. I know that there's a blacksmith over that way. I think there's a fortress maybe over that way, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, we're going to steal one of these horses. Hello, friend. You're coming with me. I should have brought my Rohirric beauty with me. That would have been somewhat more useful than this stinky, stinky horse. Some watchtowers. Okay. I'm trying to find a fortress, but I'm not really getting any luck. And everything's made of Gondorian brick, so I can't take apart the homes to find any cobblestone. It's unfortunate. Well, maybe what we can do is we can try and make more money by doing some quests, but I don't think it's necessary. I think we have plenty. There's Brown Home. Hello, friends. Y'all doing all right? Cool. You got food. Excellent. Y'all living your lives. Cool, cool. Time to see if this horse is faster. Cause this horse I'm riding right now, kind of slow. Okay, you're pretty fast. I'm keeping you. All right, maybe we'll find a cave or something. Okay, or we'll head. We already went to Sarnak, didn't we? No, we didn't go to Sarnak. Let's go down there. Let's head south to Sarnak. That's something we should have done while we were still at Fairfell. I'm foolish. I'm quite foolish. I don't know why I started palling around this way when we could just go down to Sarnak and maybe find some soldiers down there at the same time. Maybe it's because there's no fortresses in here because the Pelennor fields are like the townlands, and because of that, there's mainly villages and stuff instead of like fortifications. Some pipeweed. It's always nice to have. It's a couple watchtowers. That's something. Alright. And here we are. Back to Fairfell. This isn't Fairfell. No, it is Fairfell. No, there's another Dorwinian merchant. You're a Manish merchant this time. You're buying copper and tin. Wow. Dorwinian really is popular around here. You guys are a nice, rich settlement. Dope. The gate's over there. Let's head over there. Let's grab some berries on the way. Never harm nobody to get some berries. And then we'll get some cobblestone and then immediately throw away this wooden pickaxe because I'm a fool. Wait, hold on. I have an Angmaran pickaxe. I'm so foolish. That's what I am. I get scatterbrained sometimes. I'll forget what I have and what I don't have. Well, at least we're going to be on our way to getting some really good soldiers. Maybe from Sarnak, maybe just from a generic Gondorian fortress. I don't know. Either way, I think what we'll do is we will try and find a cave nearby and get some cobblestone that way, just so I can have it for easy repairs for tools. That's why I like having cobblestone in my inventory. It's just very quick to get repairs done. What I could do is I can go to Sarnak, and then once we're there, Sarnak may be full of hills, and hills equal easy cobblestone. That's what I'm thinking, at least. My big brain strategies. Okay, going to go through generic Gondor and then Sarnak. Yeah, these are the townlands. I don't think there's going to be any fortresses here until we get to Sarnak or Gondor generic. Which is, I mean, we'll deal with it. Is that a cave? It is. Unfortunately, there's only Gondor rock down here until you get a little bit lower. So I'm going to have to get through here until I get to the actual stone. Here we go. This is actual stone I need. I'll get a little bit of it and then I'll head back up. I think that's enough. That's enough for us. That's enough for our purposes. Head down here. There we go. I like having stone tools because iron tools, I mean iron, a little bit rarer, I mean they're faster, but I don't want to waste good material just on generic tasks. So I don't really use iron tools unless I necessarily have to. I think it's just a policy I have personally. I don't know why I cooked myself like that. Okay, time to head back up to our horse, who is hopefully still around. Yeah, you are. Excellent. Zoop! And time to head back south. Onward! I like how how the elvish swords are like saber-like. It makes being on cavalry feel that much more authentic. Having like a cavalry saber charging towards the enemy, or taking a lance and then lowering it. Where you could be standing like this, or you could lower your lance and be ready to bring on the cavalry charge. Again, it's only for flavor, and in fact, sneaking with a lance is probably the least useful thing you could do. I think being a little bit mobile with a lance is the best thing you can do. Or lance, pike, whatever, you know what I mean. Hello, your name is Malvagil. Why are Gondorians this way? What is your name? What are your names? Malbloom, Malvagil. Oh, do you know the other Malvagil? Are you friends? Eldakar. What language are Gondorian names derived from? Are they derived from Numenorian, which is therefore derived from Kenya, I think? Is Numenorian derived from Kenya? I think Numenorians, they didn't speak like the common tongue, did they? Or Westron? Or maybe I am a fool and that Gondorian names are like true Westron names. Okay, Mortal Orc Archer. I only got 0.5 alignment for that? Really? It's kind of lame. Yeah, I only got 0.5 alignment for Orcs. I thought I'd get +1 alignment. I think I only get +1 alignment from Uruks, maybe? Although Black Uruk should be worth 2. Weird. Maybe I'm just so good at the game that the alignment means nothing. Okay, let's drop off our Orc bones in our nature pouch. Boop boop. There we go. Horsey, come on. Stop heading north. We're heading down to Sarnak to try and find some Gondorian soldiers that will come with us to battle. That's what our purpose is. There's some orcs nearby. I can smell them. By that I mean I look at my sword and it was glowing blue. Not anymore. Okay. Maybe they're underneath me. Okay. The Vale of Flowers. Now we're in Sarnak. It's rainy and dark, so we're not getting a good contrast between this and the rest of Gondor, but I don't know, maybe we'll be able to see. I think Imloth Nelui is the true Valley of Flowers that Sarnak, as I think the seat of Sarnak is kind of based in. So let's see. Who do the Sarnak? Okay, so Sarnak is, I think, known for axemen. Yeah, there you can see. Dervorin, Sarnak axeman. Aren't you already busy? Yeah, whatever. Look at their shields. They have these round flower shields. I think that's pretty cool. Although, who is it? Where else did we go? Did we go to the... We went to Lamadon. The Lamadon shield is, I think, my favorite because it's round. I like it. I like round shields a lot. I think it's because of my Norse sensibilities, maybe. Let's keep heading south, and maybe we'll find a fortress. And if not, I'm going to be sad. Let's keep heading through the Vale of Flowers. There's a lot of trees here, so I can see why this is... everyone has an axe. And cool helmets. Look at their helmets. That's really neat. And it looks like they're wearing some kind of like scale mail or something. I don't know. I don't know how to make Sarnak. Or maybe it's like quilted, like leather. I don't know. Maybe we'll craft all the Gondorian armor later. Because there's like 10 bajillion Gondorian armors. There's like the Gondorian Gambeson. And there's Gondorian armor, but then there's also Sarnak armor. And Lamadon armor. And Pelargir armor. And Torin Arneal, which is like has a totally different crafting table. Doran Arneal, rather. So far, no fortresses. I'm a little bit sad. Maybe we should head west to Yeah, let's head west to Imloth Netawi. Let's head that way and see if there's any in that actual valley. Hello, you guys are cool. I like you. And so I guess we head west along the rain. Well, not along the rain. Head west in the rain. That we blessed down in Africa. Speaking of Africa, when we eventually go further south to Harad, where, as you know, the Olifants are from, the Mumakil, as they're called, the big-ass elephants, that the men of the south, or the Southrons, rode. Those are the Heart of Dream, or the Southrons. And when you go farther south than just the Near Heart of Dream, which are based in this model is partially on Arabic cultures and North African culture, especially like Morocco. When you get further south, you get to like scrubland and jungle and stuff. That reminds you more of like sub-Saharan Africa, which I guess would make somewhat sense as lots of Tolkien's Middle Earth. Middle Earth is based a lot on Europe, and a little bit. I mean, where Rohan is, and where Mordor is, and where all these influences came from do not exactly correspond to the geographic equivalents at all, in fact. But generally, it seems like Gondor would be kind of representative of like maybe Italy or Southern Europe in terms of climate and in terms of their history. Whereas when you go north to like the dwarves and where Dale is and stuff, that's a little more Germanic, which makes sense. And then you have like the North Pole and cold is to the north. That's a common. That's a common. What do I say? It's a trend that's followed by a lot of fantasy writers nowadays, where when they make their world, the cold is at the north and the hot is at the south. Where they have like the frozen north or the Northmen being this like savage or primal race from the northern parts of their land, as if like northern Europeans in the Iron Age were all savage and stuff. And again, their northern peoples are almost exclusively based on Proto-Germanic peoples or like quote-unquote barbarians, rather than all the peoples, the circumpolar peoples of the world, like the Sami or the Inuit, which, you know, is unfortunate for lots of fantasy writing. And then, of course, the hot is the south, so it's assumed that the story is told from the perspective of the northern hemisphere. And so you have, like, deserts in the south, and deserts all full of, like, markets and merchants and trade, as if it were all, like, medieval Arabia or medieval North Africa, which, you know, there's more to that than just markets and Bedouin travelers, and rather Bedouin merchants. There were also, you know, great cities that are full of literature and mathematics. Mathematics were a big thing in medieval the Islamic world, especially during the quote-unquote Dark Ages of Europe. But anyway, I digress. My point is that the fact that these trends are so common, I am not that much of a fan. I mean, I do hold to a convention with some of my writing that being in the northern hemisphere is useful because I live in the northern hemisphere of Earth, and therefore it's a little bit easier for me to relate to that. But what I like doing is I also like having a perspective where the cold is at the south and that the warm is at the north, but the warm is different. So instead of just having the warm area of the world be just flat desert like everyone and their mother has written already, having it be tropics is something that not many people do. Many people just do desert because the north of Africa, especially near the Sahara, is, you know, the Sahara. And there's this whole coastal plain that people forget about in Africa, in the north part, especially, you know, when you go further towards the west, but we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is how in where I am in the Americas, when you head south, you have a lot of, you have the deserts in Mexico, but then you have these Caribbean tropical islands. And then when you go towards the equator, you have Panama and Colombia, and that's different. And then you have the mountains. The Andes Mountains are pretty close to the equator, but they can be cold and very arid, too. And it's great for mummifying people, if you're into that sort of thing. And not many people write mountains out south. All the mountains are like to the north, or like the eastern mountains or whatever. And it's sad that not many fantasy writers hold to that convention, or they stick to conventions because they think it's easy. you know? But fortunately, I think there's a new wave of fantasy that's coming out in the last, like, I'd say 5 or 10 years that sort of breaks from that a lot of the time, especially with the advent of a whole genre of fantasy writers that come out of the Game of Thrones world, where they were maybe fans of Game of Thrones or something like that, or they got into the fifth edition of Dungeons and Dragons and wanted to write their own stories. And so, although Game of Thrones holds to a lot of these conventions, generally, some of these new fantasy writers are really branching out, and there's also a new genre of urban fantasy that is just huge now. Like, urban fantasy is something like Twilight or something like a Vampire the Masquerade, if you guys played that. Vampire the Masquerade has been around a while, don't get me wrong. They've been around maybe since like the 90s or maybe the 80s, but I think mainly the 90s. And their whole thing is, oh gosh, I almost fell in that cavern. That's not what their thing is, but I was just talking. So the main thing of Vampire the Masquerade, if you don't know, it is a tabletop RPG system that was made into a very successful, well, I don't want to say very successful video game. It was a video game that's become a cult classic and now it's getting a sequel. But anyway, the original tabletop game is called the World of Darkness setting. And it involves Werewolf the Apocalypse, Vampire the Masquerade, and it deals with supernatural creatures like werewolves and vampires living in the modern world and feeding in urban environments. So generally, vampires live in cities because there's a high degree of anonymity you can get from cities. There's also a lot of prey to feed on, and you can still make connections. And it's very political. You have to, there's all these different vampire factions that are vying for control in the cities. And the video game that was based on Vampire the Masquerade, it was set in LA, which was really, really cool to see. And it's an urban fantasy that's set in the modern era. And you don't really see that often. And there's another tabletop game system. I can't remember what it's called, but it's very easy to do one shots with it. And I play with some friends, and you could play as a vampire, you could play as a mystic who has a connection to the other world. You could play as a medium that talks with the dead. You could play as someone who has a dark pact with an entity. It's a really, really cool system, in my opinion. You could play as a fae, like a fae trickster. It's really neat. Hold on, let me keep going. Let me just keep swimming. Anyway, urban fantasy is something that's developed a lot, I'd say, since the 90s, but it's really gained a lot of attention in the 2010s, particularly after the release of the Twilight books and movies thereafter, which brought urban fantasy to a more melodramatic, well, not more melodramatic, but a little bit less like political intrigue and more of just personal stories. And so you have a lot of nonfiction, well, not a lot, you have a lot of fiction that's based in a modern environment that deals with the otherworldly or the supernatural dwelling in everyday life and not in these fantastical high fantasy environments that Tolkien and George R.R. Martin manifest in their worlds. Am I going the right way? Oh my god, we're so dumb. I thought it was going north to Imloth Nellowy. I'm sorry, lads. I didn't know it was taking so long. But anyway, I think that overall, I like urban fantasy, but I just have a very special place for making high fantasy worlds because they're so vibrant. And it's very easy to get bogged down in the modern era by thinking that there's so much magic that's been lost in the world and that everything sucks, that everything's mechanized and everything is there's no spark left and everything is based on efficiency. I don't think that's true, and I think that urban fantasy helps in dispelling that. I think urban fantasy stories help make the modern world look like a more fantastical and magical place. And I think that's something we all need, personally. I think that's a kind of story that we all need to hear, because think about it. When stories of knights and dragons and dwarves were coming out, when they were first being written, they were being written as contemporaneous stories. Knights weren't something of a bygone age. Knights were existing. They were a common feature in the world. And so when you have fantasy stories like Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings and stuff that are written like this, in these stories, it's like describing an era that was long ago. And Tolkien writes that way. Tolkien writes Middle-earth as if it were history. But when the mythology, the European mythology, especially Germanic mythologies that Tolkien takes a lot from, were being written, they're being written as if it was happening in that very instant, as a contemporaneous event, so that you could go outside and see an elf right now. You know, not necessarily you missed the elves because they were a race that existed tens of thousands of years ago or something like that. And there's the whole Sarnak fortress. Excellent. And so I think that bringing urban fantasy back gives that sort of sense of wonder and magic back into our lives. And although superstition can be quite dangerous, especially if it leads to suspicion against each other and violence, I think that overall, subliming your how do I say this? I think that suffusing your daily life with hints of magic is something that is encouraged in childhood but lost when you're an adult. And I think rediscovering that sense of wonder of the natural world and not thinking that everything was already preordained is something to value. And that's my opinion. Anyway, I think that we are going to end this episode here in the Fortress of Sarnak. Let's have a little good view around here in the Valley of Roses. There are a lot of rose bushes. We'll hire some men from this Sarnak captain because I like battle axes, and then we'll head to Mordor. But until then, don't listen to Noldor propaganda. The kinslaying was not justified. I'll see ya.